In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days.
Well, would you look at this? We are back. It's good to see you.
Wait,
power yet?
We didn't go anywhere. There are no off days.
That's right. We've been here, but our signal hasn't been getting out. We've had some complications as of late. Yeah, nice to be to be on the other side of what has been a harrowing last couple of weeks here in the Tampa Bay area. But we're having fun. We got a smile on our face. We're ready to talk a little football, and why not? Because we are in the middle of college football season and the NFL for that matter. We've got some big games. We're going to get to our picks a little bit later on. But welcome into the long-awaited 101st episode of the No Off Days podcast.
101,
That's
baby.
what it was. It was like a honeymoon. We reached 100, and then it was just like, let's go 2 weeks in Maui and enjoy ourselves.
I wish that's where we had been.
Yeah, no doubt.
You always joked about them canceling us at episode 99, but I just thought it had happened at 100.
You made it, boys. Across the finish line. Huh? Head to the showers. There it is. So we are back and ready to roll this week, and let's bring BK in for this. BK, it's I know for a while there we weren't sure that we were going to make our return, but I think you're like the guiding force, the North Star, the steadying force on this podcast, and you said, you know what, we'll be back. You just stick with it, boys.
That's what. Just hang tight. We'll get through this.
Just have to plow through a couple of major hurricanes.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we assess everybody's damage to this point? We all good? We got
good.
power yet?
I'm all good. Cannot complain. Some damage.
Yeah.
But not comparatively speaking. I'll take that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Incredibly blessed at my house. Yeah, nothing really to whine about. I almost don't want to say that I didn't lose power, so I won't say that.
Oh, boy.
So
You're one of those people. Okay.
Oh, man.
I did. I will say I put out on the neighborhood text chain. I invited anyone who needed a warm shower, cup of coffee, do laundry to come on over to 704.
Yeah. Did you get some takers?
Well, I waited a few days before I sent that, and then 2 hours after I sent it, the power came back on.
Oh, yeah.
So I
There you
still
go.
get credit.
Yeah. Your
right?
buddy over at Tico gave you a call. Go ahead and put out that philanthropic message right now.
What about you? Are you high and dry?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Just a lot of cleanup. We got piles of debris in our front yard, as does everybody right now.
There's got to be something we could do with all that, like
big bonfire.
possibly. Yeah.
that'd be
Halloween's coming up. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Everyone is a
Jump out of the
stick man.
Yeah. Kids.
Why is it the hurricanes with the elderly person names are the ones that hit Florida? It's Milton and Helene. It's never going to be like a Bryce and a Camden or something like that.
Skylar. Hurricane Skylar.
Milton was my grandfather's name.
Milton was?
Yeah.
It's a solid name.
Really?
Solid name, yeah.
Milton Bradley made some great board games.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
Okay. Very
So,
good.
yeah,
What do we have on today's program?
Today we're going to talk with Steve Phillips, former Mets general manager, get his thoughts on the baseball playoffs. We've had a couple since we've been gone. A lot happening in the baseball playoffs.
Yeah,
Baseball series.
just a little bit. I mean, I forgot to mention that off the top. While we're in the middle of football season on both sides, college and pro. I mean, here we are in the championship series of the American and National League, and we got some games.
Yeah, I tell you what.
we got some teams here in this, so it'll be fun to break it down with Steve. And then later in the show, we can.
I always like to quiz you guys, so I'm going to do another quiz. And this quiz, fairly simple. You should know this. It's just team logos. I think we've done a version of this, but
where the puzzle pieces kind of fit.
not really. I'm changing up one logo, and you tell me which one's wrong. So it's pretty simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
right.
it's kind of like the
multiple
NODPOD
choice.
Gazette comes to, like, what is wrong with this?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the thing that the restaurant gives your kids to keep them busy while they're waiting on the food to come.
That's
right.
There's
That's all it is.
Identify 6 things wrong with this picture.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
All right,
Okay.
sounds good. We can catch up with
See
you in a
you,
little
man.
bit. If you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/NODPOD. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, you can take out your phone, or you can zap that QR code. It's sitting right there on the screen for you in the bottom right-hand corner, and there you can find all of our shows. Please subscribe, Fox. 13news.com/NODPOD. Of course, we invite you to leave a 5-star. In the NFL world, some big news this week is some trades are starting to take place. The Devontae Adams sweepstakes finally being awarded to the New York Jets, and that was kind of the odds-on favorite. I think a lot of people thought, well, if he's going to go anywhere, he's probably going to. I mean, it's a trade, so you got to have a willing partner in both sides. But it makes a lot of sense for him to be reunited with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is a Jets team that is really they're all in, right? I mean, you got to go after it. You don't know how much tread you got left on that Aaron Rodgers tire, and I think Davante Adams, obviously there's some familiarity already in the system, a guy that he's going to trust. They trust one another, and they've done big things together in Green Bay, so that Packer tandem is now reunited up in New York. What are your thoughts on that fit, though? We've seen the Jets now through a third of the season. Is Davante Adams the missing piece?
Well, I don't know. I think Garrett Wilson is a really good receiver. I like the idea of – I think this will take some of the attention off of Wilson and could be the best thing for him. It seems like every time Aaron has one of these – I don't want to say demands, but demands for one of his guys, it hasn't always panned out. I mean, Alan Lazard, okay, who was at Randall Cobb last year, didn't quite. Obviously, Adams is on a different level than those guys. By the way, he says his hamstring is feeling much better now.
Yeah,
the one that's kept him
suddenly,
out the last 3 games. It's not as tight as it was.
I see how this working.
Yeah, they're saying he might go in this next game for the Jets. I think it's a move they had to make, though. Obviously you drop the one to the Bills. The Bills are leading the division now, the AFC East, with a 4-2 record. So they've got to do something now. Aaron Rodgers isn't getting any younger. I think it'll work. We'll see. I mean, the thing about the Jets is, even though, Robert Saleh was kind of calling the defense, and the defense is solid. The defense is good. Yeah. And it's just a matter of does this work now with Davante Adams? You've got, is it Todd Downing that's kind of the OC now that Nathaniel Hackett was, I guess, stripped of that title. So, we'll see if he can put him in position and see if Rodgers did look sharper, I believe, against the Bills. It looks like he's worn off a little bit of that rust.
Yeah, I don't think your quarterback situation is the problem with that. But I mean, that's a tough division, right? For them to compete in. But you never know. I mean, we're still fairly early on in the season. But Robert Saleh out, and in comes Davante Adams. It was just they could have done that trade. And we'll give you a new. Need a new defensive coordinator there in Vegas. Another trade going down. The Bills say, "Hey, you're going to go get richer in the receiving corps. Let's do the same thing." So they go out and they get Amari Cooper from the Browns. So both teams in that division bolstering the receiving corps. But I'm curious. There's other teams that have needs, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, teams that are going to have to go out there and probably make some moves here. And it seems like that's one of these things that once a team start making, that other teams get a little anxious to make some move themselves. Is there any team out there that you feel like, hey, they should be hitting this hot stove right now and going out to get somebody?
Yeah, a couple. All of them contenders, right? Like, this is where you make that move. Trade deadline is November 5th, which something else happens in November 5th. It's a Tuesday, I can't remember. Yeah. Something else is taking place then. Anyway, and I wanted to ask you of this because you are our resident Lions fan. I think after Aiden Hutchinson's, is it season-ending injury?
Oh, yeah.
Probably? Okay, so I think they need – so this is a Lions team that could win the Super Bowl. I mean, when they are clicking on all cylinders, but I think they need that pass rush help. Would you agree with me there that they need to go out and get someone?
I do, but I also think that this is a team that really has such a good culture fit right now that you have to be selective with who you go out and get. But yes, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson does so much against the run, obviously against the pass as well. So you're not going to get somebody that's just going to replace him. It's a significant loss defensively. But
do you like Hassan Reddick?
The only thing with Reddick is, obviously he did his little holdout thing there in New York. He's a talented player. I don't know scheme-wise how well he fits the Detroit system, but I do worry about that from a culture standpoint, right? You have a guy that he goes to New York, it's a fresh start, never even shows up, doesn't show up a single day, holds out for money. That doesn't mean he's a bad guy, but it does mean that he puts himself above the team. How does that fit go down in Detroit? Last thing you need is someone that's not particularly happy. I mean, presumably he's going to want another contract with whatever team he goes to. Okay. So if that's Detroit, is he going to do the same old song and dance if he doesn't get some type of long-term deal? So, but that's a talent that they could go after. A lot of people have floated the name Max Crosby, obviously the stud with the Raiders. Are the Raiders in sell mode? Would they even consider that? I think they would want a king's ransom. Now, what is Detroit willing to give up? If a team like the Lions gives up, a first and a second round pick or something like that for a talent as good as Max Crosby, I don't think it hurts them as much because they're already so loaded with young players.
Right, they just
that
had
they don't need to hit in future drafts. They've bought themselves about 3 years, I think, of draft time with the guys that they have locked down under long-term contracts. So maybe they make a big play, a serious play for a guy that played at Eastern Michigan, so he's got some roots there in Michigan. But even you look at the Browns, Zadarius
White,
Smith.
Yeah.
Smith.
Okay.
With the Browns.
Smith. How did that last name
yeah.
escape you?
That's a guy that I think that would make sense too. Elsewhere, the Cowboys, they need help. They need a running back. Why not give our old friend Jason Light a little jingle?
Oh, you think?
I mean, I think you got a crowded running back room now with the emergence of Sean Tucker.
The Cowboys
and Bucky
need a lot of things,
Irving.
though.
They do, but they do need a running game. They got a lot of guys, but they don't have a guy.
Yeah.
And I think Rashad White, I mean, I think he's a great player, and I think in the right system he could still have some life. And then obviously I think the Dolphins need to figure out a quarterback situation still.
Yeah, I mean,
because that season is slipping away pretty quickly.
Sounds like they're intent on Tua coming back, but I wondered 3 weeks ago why they didn't go make a move and find someone. But now is it a point of we don't know enough if we should go all in or not, right? So we're just going to kind of you hope as a Dolphins fan, if you are one, that they don't just sit there and wait too long and then Tua doesn't come back. I think there are contenders like the Chiefs and the Steelers. The Steelers oddly in the mix now that could use some help at wide receiver. And you look at teams like the Titans that are not doing well and have some disgruntled wide receivers in DeAndre Hopkins and Tyler Boyd. Either one of those, I think the Chiefs will. I look for them to make a move to wide receiver. I mean, they've kind of figured things out the last couple of weeks with Juju Smith-Schuster, but with Rice on IR, I could see Hopkins working, and he just needs someone to get him the ball. He's older, but he's still got explosiveness.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and bring back their old pal Marquez Valdez-Scantling,
MVS,
who just got released in the Bills deal when they went and got Amari Cooper, so maybe they bring him back into the fold. But if there's any team that can make it happen without any marquee receivers, it's probably the Chiefs. All right, so we're talking about contenders on the NFL side of things, but now I think it's time we talk contenders, and the field is down to 4. In the world of baseball, playoff time. It's October baseball. Time to get to our guest. He is the host of The Leadoff Spot, weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Time on Sirius XM's MLB Network radio channel, as well as former Big League GM Steve Phillips, joining the No Off Days podcast. Steve, thanks for hopping on with us. I got to start right out of the gates with one of your former teams here in the Mets, because, I mean, you get to this stage in the postseason, you got 4 teams left, and talent is obviously important, but you're kind of looking for the it factor, and with this Mets team, you got some resiliency that keeps popping up. What's your take on the run that they've made to this point in the season?
Yeah, it's really remarkable. And that, we keep looking at them as this sort of Cinderella surprise team that we didn't really expect it. But when you stop and think about the 4 teams we have in the playoffs right now, in the American League, you've got the Yankees and Guardians, who have the 2 best records in the American League. And in the National League, you have the Dodgers, who had the best record, and then the Mets, who had the best record since May 30th. We sort of think the Phillies had the second best record, but the Mets had the best record since May 30th. And so it's not a surprise that they're there. They're a very good team, very balanced, a lot of solid veteran professional players, quality at bats, and surprisingly good pitching, that they've made real advancements. Sean Manaea, with the adjustment he made, is outstanding right now. Luis Severino took his years with the Yankees, and he came to New York with the Mets and really took his game to a whole nother level. Very mature, very professional, very consistent on the mound. And so the Mets, they're getting the job done. The bullpen's getting it done, and Francisco Lindor is leading the way. They're a lot of fun to watch. I mean, they're just a really fun, resilient team, never out of a game, and they always seem to come fighting back.
Steve, I was reading this morning that the ratings for this MLB postseason have been off the charts, higher than they've been in like 20 years. What do you ascribe that to?
Star power. I mean, think about what we got, the gift of that this year. We got Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. We got Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. We got Francisco Lindor. We got Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr. We got Jackson Merrill, who's got a good chance to be the Rookie of the Year in the National League. And you think about the Orioles with Gunnar Henderson and all of the young stars that they have on that team. We've had a lot of the star power in the game in these playoffs, and I think fans love stars. They like the guys that can be on the billboards, that commercials can be made of, and I think we've had that this year. And the games have been fantastic. Yeah. So many great storylines, different ways of building teams, managing teams, and some interesting decisions being made. And so I think it's for me, It's probably been the best playoff run since I've been on MLB Network Radio, going back to like 2014. This year has been more exciting than I think I've ever seen.
I mean, the biggest star of the game is, of course, Shohei Ohtani. And for as big as an icon as he has become here in recent years, what does a World Series potentially do for Ohtani's star and his legacy?
I mean, think about his times with the Angels. They never made the playoffs. And so, the signing by the Dodgers was a mega contract, $700 million, but he needed this, right? And so it's so interesting, his performance so far in the playoffs, though. When nobody's on base, he can't get a hit. But when there's runners in scoring position, nobody can get him out. And so, that clutch factor has come into play for him. He's a showstopper. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're at home sitting watching the game, whether you're at the ballpark, you're not getting out of your seat when he comes to the plate. So it's been great for him, great for the Dodgers for that reinforcement of the investment that they made, and great for baseball that we actually have some stars that aren't just regional stars or local stars, but they're really span across the game and really not only nationally but internationally as well.
On the other side of the league, opposite National League and the American League, the biggest star on that side is Aaron Judge. The narrative on him, Steve, is that he kind of disappears in the postseason. Which of those two, as we look at maybe this is the World Series matchup, I don't know. I know there are some TV executives that would love to see Los Angeles and the Yankees. Which of those two, Judge, Ohtani, mean the most to their team winning a World Series at this point?
Oh, it's a great question. You know what? It's close. I would probably say Aaron Judge, the captain. They have less length and depth to their lineup than what the Dodgers do. So Ohtani's presence is one thing. If he gets on, he can steal a base, he can do some different things. But I think the Yankees really need Aaron Judge against another team that can produce a lot of offense. Like the Guardians aren't a big, strong offensive team that they'll get by, I think, if Judge isn't at his best. But if it does come down to really the Mets or the Dodgers, teams that can score, Aaron Judge is going to have to produce. And it can't be the situation where they want to walk Juan Soto and pitch to Aaron Judge. And so Judge needs to step up. He needs to get it going. He's had spurts where he's been cold before. And then when the floodgates open, man, the power bat comes through. And so I think that I would not wish upon my worst enemy Aaron Judge getting hot against you in the playoffs. And I think it's coming, and it's coming pretty soon.
Going to take a quick break with Steve, but we will have more on the other side. In fact, I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask him about our Rays. Are they going to get a roof on that building? I don't know if Steve can answer that, but we will dive into it more on the NODPOD.
Doing my Mets GM homework here, you did not author the Bobby Bonilla deal.
Actually, I did.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I did. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome to everybody who on July 1st every year celebrates Bobby Bonilla Day. And that was, we were releasing him. And owner said, he likes deferred money. Let's see if we can get him to defer the money. And we'll invest it with Bernie Madoff. Because Bernie Madoff was best friends with Mets ownership. And we had a lot of investments with Madoff. He was an investment vehicle for the team. So we released Bonilla, took his money, put it in a fund with Bernie Madoff. And the plan was we were going to make money, millions of dollars on Bonilla's $6 million while still paying him out close to $29 million over a 35-year period. So I was that guy just, taking heed from ownership. But every July 1st, I get a lot of phone calls to talk about it.
Well, this question turned out to be richer than I thought it would. That was what I wanted to ask, but wow, thank you for that, is that, aside from the Madoff part of that, the Bobby Bonilla, the deferred contract is the way that business is done now. So, I'm just kind of looking at it in terms of Ohtani in this $700 million, that his contract is promised over 10 years. I mean, what are your thoughts as a GM, and especially having authored the Bobby Bonilla deal? What are your thoughts on how they structured that? And even if he's not pitching, I think it's safe to say that he's still worth that money. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, the $700 million, the present value of that is somewhere around, I think, 460 some million. So $46 million a year, which as a DH, with the production that he's given and winning the MVP award, it's pretty close to what I think the real value is for his performance on the field. So yeah, I think it's a good deal. They're going to make money on the money, right? He deferred so much of that. They're going to do the same thing, take it and invest it. They're going to make money on the brand that is Ohtani with sponsorship deals in Japan that they're going to then invest that money. they'll end up making money to where he won't cost them a dime in Los Angeles. That's how important in really a deal that he proposed. Ohtani did. He suggested that it's structured that way so they had financial flexibility, they could spend money and have cash flow to be able to help them build a team moving forward. And so where I'd like to take credit for maybe setting the stage for that, my deal was the JV compared to the varsity deal that the Dodgers made with Ohtani and the amount of money that they deferred in that contract.
Yeah, well, it was a blueprint, And look, we could talk about all the stars, and there are plenty of them in this postseason. Moving forward into next year, before we wrap with you, because it was just announced that Clayton Kershaw intends to come back for 2025, and assuming that there's still plenty left in the tank. He says the arm feels good. It's these pesky bone spurs in the toe. What do you think the lifespan is in terms of playing for Kershaw as he moves forward?
So, it's really hard to know. All we can go upon is what the previous few years have told us, and that's not a great storyline. And, from what I understand with the bone spurs on his toe, he's not going to get them surgically removed, and they're just going to let them settle down. But I don't know. My experience is those things will flare up again, and that inevitably it will become a problem again unless it's rectified surgically in some way. And so I love to see him on the mound. And when he does pitch, he's always good. The injuries have kept him off the mound, and I suspect that may be a challenge moving forward for him. He got the shoulder repaired, thought he was going to come back and just couldn't go. Let's keep our fingers crossed because the game's better with Clayton Kershaw in it when he's pitching it on the mound. The Dodgers always do a good job of managing their staff. Nobody makes 30 starts in a Dodger uniform. They're all around 25, 26. And if they get 25, 26 starts out of Kershaw next year, we'll see the Dodgers playing in the NLCS once again.
No doubt. I'm sure it's killing him that he's not out there. But, I mean, that Dodger pitching staff has been one of the stories here in the postseason. Before we let you go, I got to ask you about our local team here, the Tampa Bay Rays, obviously falling short this last season. But just kind of your thought on what they have done to this point to have gone into this season and feel kind of like a letdown that they didn't make the postseason after a nice little run of making it happen with obviously the being hamstrung financially, being able to make some big acquisitions. What are your thoughts on what you saw from the Rays in 2024?
They always walk a narrower path than everybody else to get to the playoffs because of the payroll. They just don't have as much flexibility, and therefore they don't often have that much depth. They had so many injuries, and toward the end of the year, some of the pitchers started getting healthy. We know Shane McClanahan's going to be back next year. Shane Baz's going to be back in the mix next year. And so I look at this team and think they're going to be really good next season. Some of the young position players got some at-bats. Kevin Arrow starting to show what he can do and develop and grow. And so I think they're going to be right back in the mix in what's a really tough American League East. I think they're going to have a solid pitching staff as everybody comes back healthy. And we just know that where teams can overcome injuries, the large markets can go out and trade for that guy making $18 million like the Orioles did with Zach Eflin, for next year. The Dodgers can make trades to get Jack Flaherty away from Detroit. The Yankees can make deals to bring people in, and the Rays really can't do it. So they have to sort of develop it all from within and give some contracts, but backload the money, get the maximum value they can out of the early years, let somebody else pay the back end of it. And sometimes it catches up to you a little bit, but they're never far away from getting it back on the tracks again. And I look for them to be very, very competitive in 2025.
Solid young team moving into the future. SiriusXM is giving subscribers a chance to win a pair of tickets to every postseason game. You can go to x.com/MLB Network Radio for rules and info on how to play. He is the host of the Leadoff Spot, weekday mornings again, 7 a.m. Eastern time over on SiriusXM's MLB Network Radio. Steve Phillips, thank you so much for carving a little time out with us on the No Off Days podcast.
My pleasure, guys. Anytime.
Well, we are through 2 blocks of this show, and we have not talked college football yet. So
how did that happen?
It's going to happen next. Up next, it's guest picker time. Wait, we don't even have a guest.
We'll find one.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to find a guest
be someone
to join us for our pick segment. We got some big games of college football coming up. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. It is time for our picks segment. We unveil the big 5 games this weekend and give you our thoughts on those. And normally, Chris, we have a guest picker. But Not this week.
Times have been hard lately with storm disruptions.
I mean, half of the people we reached out to didn't even have power yet,
Right.
so they're not going to jump on a Zoom call.
No, in fact, they probably want us over to help them clean up their yards. Maybe we should do that after this.
Yeah, that sounds. I'll volunteer you for that right after this show. But we do have a friend of the show that knows it near and dear because they're a part of the show every week, and we've mentioned her name many a time. But now she's going to be actually featured in our pick segment. So our guest picker, without further ado, is our jib operator, Mariah. There we go. She's all the beautiful moving shots, which you'll now not see. Normally you're operating the camera, and so we're not going to have any of those for this segment, I guess.
I know, it's really unfortunate.
Okay. So, all right, Mariah, you're a big UCF fan in college football.
I am.
We know this.
Die hard.
Always wearing your UCF swag on Fridays before games, and but we don't have UCF in our picks.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
So
They
what
were a
is
little
your-
shameful this week.
A little
What is the extent of your football knowledge?
I would say it's very superficial.
Okay,
My
perfect.
dad loves football, so he makes me watch it all the time.
Wonderful.
You're a
So,
good
so
dad.
however you
Yeah.
assess these matchups, I mean, just feel free to, if it's, just because you feel a certain way or if because it's a mascot rivalry, whatever it is, okay? I'm curious what your
You
psyche is gonna
can't
be.
do any worse than Scott's done the last
No,
few weeks.
absolutely not. Yeah. All right, let's get into it. We got some big ones. So here we go. We have still unbeaten Miami, number 6 in the nation. At noon on Saturday, they will pay a visit to Louisville, and the Hurricanes come in 4-point favorites. Mariah, how do you see this matchup go down?
Well, I would have to say I don't know anything about either of those teams.
Okay, wonderful. We're off to a great start.
I've been to Miami before.
They are the Hurricanes, and we've seen plenty of
we
those.
don't
Yeah,
like those.
I'm pretty much
Have you been
done
to
with
Louisville?
the Hurricanes. I've driven through it,
Okay.
but I haven't been there to visit. Well, you said Miami's 6th, right?
Miami's 6th in the nation. They are favored to win by 4 points.
Okay, I feel like I have to go with the boys of Miami.
Okay, there we go.
right.
The Canes, and they cover the 4. So, Chris, we'll send it on down to you. Are we?
She's gonna smoke
Are
me.
you gonna go?
She's gonna smoke me in these. I can tell already. Good game. Good ACC game here. Louisville looked a little sluggish in their last couple outings. Eked out a win over Virginia. Miami, though, coming off a bye, but the last 2 games, really, they could have lost. I mean, the refs really bailed them out of that Virginia Tech game on a Hail Mary that was somehow overturned. And then they are down to Cal, 35-10, and Cam Ward has to bring them back. So this Miami defense has not played as well as we all expected them to play. I like the fact that the Cardinals create a good energy in that home stadium there. I think it's one of the sneaky good home environments in the ACC. I wish it wasn't a noon game. I wish it was a little later. Give the fans time to maybe get on some of that bourbon that I talked about earlier. I think the Cardinals cover the 4-point spread. I think Miami sneaks out with another one, maybe kicks a late field goal. I'm going to go Cardinals.
Yeah, both these teams kind of come into this matchup limping just a little bit. Canes looking suspect and maybe playing to a little too nonchalant as they jumped into ACC play against some of those opponents. But, this is a Louisville team that they themselves have looked a little suspect. They have some holes defensively. They gave up, I think, 450 yards to Virginia. They gave up nearly 500 yards to SMU. And I think this Canes offense is better than both of those previous teams. So I think the Canes, they're at a point in the season where, before the season I actually picked Miami to lose this game. But I think they're better than I expected them to be, and I'm gonna bank on the resolve of one Cam Ward to have a big performance in this game against a suspect Louisville defense.
Do you like his touchdown celebration?
I'll take it. Yeah.
He was cuter than the other quarterback. I did look that
Well,
up
that's
before
a
the
big
game.
part
Well,
of it,
that's
too.
usually
So
the
the
deciding
cuteness
factor.
factor of Cam Ward puts them over the top. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game on both sides, but I'm going to say they cover the 4. All right, Alabama, number 7, paying a visit to Knoxville.
Why'd you have to say it like that?
What? Taking on 11th ranked Tennessee, a 3:30 kick on Saturday. It's going to be
We know
hard for
who
you to
you
pick
got.
against the Crimson
Yeah.
Tide.
She's wearing
because-
orange here a little bit,
No,
though.
no,
Look at
that
this.
doesn't count.
It's not
These
quite
are just
volunteer
my
orange.
color palette for the fall.
Yes. So we got the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee at home.
I already know exactly who I'm going to pick. I have to be loyal. My baby cousin Gracie just graduated from there. She's going to be a doctor.
From where?
From Alabama.
Oh.
See, people do graduate from Alabama.
She's going to be a doctor.
And a doctor.
I'm really proud of her, so I have to do Alabama.
Oh, Ty Gracie.
All right.
How about
We
that?
got some bloodlines. So.
Obviously, it's a huge rivalry game. Third Saturday in October. It's a cigar game, Mariah. The winning team, these college players get to smoke cigars in the locker room. It's quite the scene. This is tough. Both of these teams have shown flaws recently. I think Alabama has shown more flaws than Tennessee. Tennessee's young quarterback, Nico, help me out,
Iamaleava
has been inconsistent. The Vols' strength is running the ball.
Yes.
Really good at running the ball. Alabama's defense cannot get off the field. So everything is telling me to pick Tennessee, but I cannot do that. I just cannot do that. I hope we see the Bama team that played the first half against Georgia. That's what I'm going to bank on here. And Alabama gets revenge for that game 2 years ago when the Vols kicked the winning field goal. No goalpost is being thrown in the Tennessee River this time. Alabama wins on the road.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they went to Tennessee, horrible memories for this team. So you go back in to the Volunteer State, and it's an opportunity against a better caliber opponent to really say, hey, all that stuff's in the past. I think for both these teams, for as much vulnerability as we've seen in recent weeks, and Tennessee certainly has going to OT with Florida, the loss at Arkansas, but I do think if there's any area that Alabama might be able to take advantage, it's up front. I think Tennessee's offensive line is a little bit suspect, and if you can get that young freshman quarterback Iamaleava rattled a little bit, then you might have some success. And I think Alabama's going to go in there, pin their ears back, and get after them. Can they beat the Vols by 3? Because that's a tough line. I think they do. I think it's going to still be a single score game, but I'll maybe around the 4 or 5 point range. So I'm going to say the Crimson Tide.
We all picked Bama.
How about that?
Wow.
That's kiss of death. All right. We have a top 5 matchup in Georgia. Number 5 Bulldogs. They head into Austin, Texas to face the number 1 team in the land. That would be the Texas Longhorns. That is your evening kickoff Saturday night, 7:30. Who do you like down there in the heart of Texas?
That one's kind of hard because I really do like visiting Georgia, but I lived for Texas for a year. So.
And? So what?
But
was that a good experience?
It wasn't that great, honestly.
The Vegas odds makers like Texas by how much? Is it 3?
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of that means, but I'll go with Texas.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Texas.
All
right.
That's the color orange, Texas. Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Longhorns.
I think I'm going against all the orange this week. I know Texas. Here's the thing. Yes, Georgia lost to Alabama. Alabama played out of its mind, and that was a very difficult road environment. So I'm saying Georgia has been tested on the road. Texas has not played anyone yet, I think, with a capable passing offense. We can't give them credit for beating Michigan on the road anymore. Michigan's not a very good team. I mean, they trucked Mississippi State at home. I just don't think Texas has been tested like Georgia has. This Georgia defense has some problems. It's not your Georgia defense that we're used to seeing with Kirby Smart. Quinn Ewers, will probably have a lot of success against them. But I think Carson Beck's going to have a lot of success too. Texas's secondary has not been tested yet. Beck's coming off of a huge game against Mississippi State. I just feel like the Bulldogs are going to get them. I think the Dogs are going to get them this time and cover that 3 points.
Yeah,
and win. I say win outright for Georgia.
The problem is, Georgia has been tested, but they failed the test. They failed the test against Alabama.
They beat Clemson's a good team, and they blew their doors off.
Yeah, that was real early in the season.
Oh, we can't count early in the season.
No, I mean it matters, but I don't think offensively Clemson's a powerhouse. I think that you give up 31 to Mississippi State. I think that Georgia has definitely shown some holes and consistency, especially you mentioned. I mean, defensively, this is a Texas team that has just so many offensive weapons. Is Isaiah Bond playing in this game?
I don't know.
I mean, if he goes, that's just another one for the Horns. Quinn Ewers looked pretty good in his return. I think if he has time in the pocket, he might be able to pick
I didn't think he looked that good in his return.
He was pretty efficient. I think he was.
I think they need Arch Manning back.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Either way,
we'll see how the result of this one goes. But yeah, Texas at home. I think they get it done. I mean, this is an opportunity for them against the team that has been the reigning #1 team for the last couple of years to really show their bona fides, and I think they do get it done. A little bit of a passing of the mantle game. I think Texas retains the unbeaten spot and #1 in the land.
You're going to tell Linda what he said there, right? Tell Linda he's picking against the Dogs.
I kind of think they might beat them by double digits.
Oh, no!
Sorry, Linda. Ouch. But you'll have to fly no flags in this game. All right, let's jump into the NFL. Maybe this is more in your lane. You think so? Okay.
Yeah,
All right. We got it's a Super Bowl rematch. So we've basically already seen this game. It's the Chiefs and the 49ers. 49ers at home. They are 1.5-point favorites. The Chiefs, one of only 2 teams in the NFL still unbeaten. Who do you think wins this one?
Oh, this is going to be a really girly answer.
Okay.
Perfect.
I mean,
What is it?
Travis Kelce.
Okay.
It's so cute.
She didn't even want to
It
say
wasn't
it.
even about Taylor Swift. It was all about.
I mean, I do like Taylor Swift, but I'm like a medium grade Swiftie. I'm not like a diehard. I did not go to the Eras tour because it was very expensive.
So you're a decaf.
But,
Okay, that's
A
good.
decaf.
yeah.
All right, so I like her reasoning. Mainly, I do believe you hit on something there that Taylor Swift's boyfriend, what's his name?
Travis.
Yeah, Travis.
Kelce.
All right, good. They have he's come along these last 2 weeks, right? And it's been a Chiefs. We talked about this earlier when we were talking about NFL teams that may want to go make a move, get a wide receiver. And Scott was right in what he said, is that it kind of doesn't matter who they have. This offense gets it done. But Travis Kelce has come along well in these last 2 weeks. And I like what they're doing with Smith-Schuster. He's doing well for them. And the 49ers are banged up right now. And their defense has problems in the secondary. Bosa's still awesome. Their defensive line's solid. But this secondary has problems, and that's not what you want to face against a Chiefs team. And here's my favorite stat. Patrick Mahomes against the spread when he's an underdog is 11-1. So I'm going Chiefs.
How about this? The last time the Chiefs were underdogs going into a game, it was
Super
against
Bowl?
Super Bowl in 58. Yeah, when they beat the 49ers. Here's the big difference for me is that this is not the postseason. And so I think that the Niners, they're going to be keyed up for this one. They have enough weapons already offensively. I mean, they've found a nice mix there to fill in for Christian McCaffrey in their backfield. Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, they still have plenty of weapons, I think, offensively, defensively, to get it done as well. And this one being at home, that's where I'm just going to go slide edge there. So I got the 49ers in a game that doesn't really mean a whole lot because it's the regular season. Should this be in the postseason, I would definitely lean Chiefs. But in this one, that 4:25 kick here on Fox, I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers to cover that 1.5. All right, finally, a little bit of local flavor. We got the Ravens paying a visit to Raymond James Stadium, Monday Night Football against your Buccaneers. Bucks, I mean, hot. They just hung half 100 last week against those Saints. What do they do this week, Mariah, against the vaunted Baltimore Ravens?
I have to be loyal. I have to be loyal
You
to
don't
the
have.
Bucs.
You don't have.
But
to.
You are
also,
wearing orange
You want
again.
to know why I don't want to choose the Ravens? Because I had an ex-boyfriend whose mom loved the Ravens, and she was so annoying about it, and she would dress up like excessive with like the slippers and the colored pieces in her hair, and she was also like not really that nice to me.
Oh, well, that's another reason not to like her there.
Like all Ravens fans, thank you very much.
Immediately was a downer for me. So yeah, no, I can't vote for them.
This is tough. Ravens are playing really well. Oh, they got that run game cranked up. Mr. Henry's long legs are going and churning. His arms might be longer. Have you seen that guy stiff arm someone?
See, you make fun of me for thinking they're cute. He like knows how long their arms.
Yes.
I didn't put any inches on it, but yeah, you got a wingspan. But the Bucs, something about this Bucs team, and I like the fact we're getting them at home. It's a 3.5-point spread.
Indeed, 3.5 points.
I can hedge my bet here. I think the Ravens win on a Justin Tucker field goal.
Okay.
But the Bucs cover the spread. How about that?
All right. Well, I think you still irritated Bucs fans with that long, winding answer and waxing.
Was
about
my
the length
answer
of Derrick
longer than
Henry's
Derrick Henry's legs?
and his arms? I mean, this guy, look at him.
Yeah.
He's a tarantula. So here we go. The Ravens, they return one Todd Monken back to Raymond James Stadium, now coordinating the offense for the Baltimore Ravens. And boy, an offense he has. They have plenty of toys to play with. They have the number one offense in the NFL right now. Derrick Henry is, of course, a big part of that, but lest we forget their quarterback. I mean, the Ravens are just They're very dynamic. I think they're going to pose some problems to the Bucs. But here we have a Bucs team that just last week put up 51 points. I mean, it looks like they can score at will when their offense is, they got a bunch of key guys back this last week. They're getting healthier at the right time. I mean, I'm buying the long-term trajectory of the Bucs. I just think Monday Night Lights, Baltimore Ravens in town, I think that's going to be tough. And here's the thing with the Bucs that they've shown vulnerability is they just, for as much resiliency as they have shown to bounce back after tough losses like the Atlanta Falcons loss, it's these like going to sleep and making, for a quarter last week. I mean, I realized that they dominated for the other three, but it's these kind of gaps in being able to string together. I don't know that you can do that against a Ravens team in the prime time stage, and I know Lamar Jackson's going to be keyed up for this one. So as much as it pains me to say it, I think the Ravens end up covering that 3.5 at Raymond James Stadium. All right. I think you did a great job.
Yeah,
and I think you're probably going to get them all right, Mariah.
I hope so.
All right, now we have to do a tease because we're going to have so you have to get back behind the jib so you can make a beautiful.
We need our beautiful sweeping.
Bye, guys.
I want you all to appreciate this if
you
you're
did a great
watching at
job.
home. Great job, Mariah. She's one of the key elements. She is like our Lamar Jackson. She is our Derrick Henry.
She makes
her
it
legs
work.
aren't maybe as long as Derek's, but
her jib is. You
Look
should
at-
see this
Wait
camera.
till you see this jib move.
We can't show
it's
it to
gonna
you
be. It's
because
going to be
it's behind the
incredible.
other
Oh no,
cameras.
she's going to get it going right now. All right, coming up on the other side, we're going to play our game with Logos and BK back in the mix with us. Don't go anywhere. NODPOD next.
Legos?
Oh, look at this thing.
Oh, that's the
look
jib.
at it move. It's so smooth.
It's so good to have her back there.
Welcome back to this beautifully winding jib shot as operated by one Mariah, who was our picker in the last segment there. Okay. All right, so we are now going to jump into our this is our fun block, our last block, and for that, let's bring in Mr. Fun himself, Brian King. Brian,
The
you've come
king
up-
of fun.
I know when you go to the lab and you come up with all that you concoct these games and quizzes for us, it seems like a never-ending fount. Is this?
It is a lab, yeah.
Yeah.
You're dead on with that.
Yeah.
Come on, truth is, I come up with these like 5 minutes before we start this
it's
thing.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, well.
The little amount of time that you put into it, and yet still, they're fun.
He dreams these things up in his sleep.
I know.
Dude.
Yeah. Brian's brain is always going. It's always got something.
We need a segment called Brian's Brain.
Brian's brain. That's a good one.
Take
yeah.
people behind the curtain and see the man pulling the levers back there.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You don't want to,
Come on, guys.
There's a lot of twisted things going on up there. Okay.
All right.
All right, here we go.
What we're going to do is show you some logos, right?
Okay.
And one of the logos is going to be off just a bit, okay? They're pretty easy. Some are easier to spot than the others. You tell me one of these logos out of 4 is going to be wrong.
All right, I am a
All right.
logo expert.
Now, this
I
is
got
a
my
what-
undergrad in logoology, and
He has a
so I'm ready to
degree.
go.
So you ready for the first ones?
Yeah.
Here we go. It's Miami Hurricanes, Cincinnati Bearcats, K-State Wildcats, Clemson Tigers. Which one of these logos is off?
Does the Bearcat have enough claws? That's one thing I'm looking at. I don't know for sure.
So only one of them is off.
One is off. Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. There's 3 that are correct.
Well, I don't think a Bearcat has an opposable thumb, so I think that's the proper amount of clawage. Is that font right for Cincinnati? I'm not.
The C looks a little small.
It looks like a sans serif, something that Brian would stir up on his computer at home. Let's see, the Clemson paw. I don't see a problem with that. Does the paw have nails? No, it doesn't have nails.
No, not the one I've seen. No.
Okay. The ear looks a little pinned back on that Wildcat too.
Yeah.
Is that?
It's giving more.
That's the one he could do, and that would mess me up.
Right. That one's giving more lioness. That looks like a lioness profile.
Okay, I'm gonna go, and I don't know. Yeah. If I haven't noticed this, I apologize to all Hurricanes fans. But I'm going to say those colors are flip-flop. The green is on the right and the orange is on the left. That's going to be my pick.
Dang it. That was my answer.
Was it?
He distracted us with all the other eye candy,
Yeah, well,
and all
I
he
wanted
did
to-
was flip that around.
Guys, man, you've been in the lab. You're absolutely correct.
Yep.
Flipped it. So, man, good for you. Good for you. How about this one?
We got
We got
some
Seattle
baseball.
Mariners, Boston Red Sox, Chicago Cubs, Arizona Diamondbacks. Which one of these is off?
Oh my gosh. Here we are again dealing with my bad rods and cones. There's something I want to see, but I need to move closer to the monitor to see it.
I mean, so the only thing that that Mariners logo I think can also come in different colors. So the colors look off on that Mariners logo. I'm looking at all the monitors because they're all different colors. But I'm going to say, here's what I'm going to say. The Cubs is fine, I believe, as best I can tell. The Diamondbacks is fine, although that could also be, I think they also have like an inverted logo too, where like the colors are switched. I'm going to say that the Red Sox, the sock is in behind the other sock, and they should be flip-flopped.
Yeah.
The sock on the right should be in front of the big sock. That's what I'm going to go Red Sox.
Okay, he's going. So Scott's thinking maybe you're putting the right sock before the left sock, but the left sock should be before the right sock.
That's what I'm going to say.
All of my socks are like what do you call them? They're unisex.
They all have holes in them.
They all have holes. They can go on either foot.
Holes in the pinky toe.
Here's one thing
He's
I need
got the sharpest
let
pinky
me step
toenail.
out of frame for a moment.
Okay. All right. As he approaches the camera, he's looking as. You need to bring your bifocals, friend. Yeah.
I've got it.
Okay, you've
All
got
right,
it.
so I think the Diamondback logo is missing fangs.
Fangs?
Yeah, it should have some fangs in there.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. I've never noticed
Am
fangs.
I correct, Brian?
You are incorrect, Cato. It is actually the Red Sox, but not for what Scott said.
Okay.
Red Sox have got the little white
Oh,
toe
the
thing.
white thing.
Weird
Yeah.
toe cap.
Okay.
Toe cap.
Kind of
All
covered
right.
up the little white toe
That's
things.
what it was. See, that's a big thing to miss, and it makes me feel like the whole socks are out of whack. So.
But you get credit. You picked it.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. Next one. How about some hockey teams?
Okay.
Chicago
Oh.
Blackhawks, Vegas Golden Knights, your Tampa Bay Lightning, and Montreal Canadiens. Which one of these is incorrect?
All right. Why don't you give your analysis here, Chris?
Well,
as you...
one is insensitive. I can tell you that. I have no idea, man. Okay, so hockey logos may not be my thing. Did you give the Bolt too many squigglies? Does the Bolt have too many?
Okay,
No?
you got to think like Brian is doing this on his own.
Yeah.
Whatever.
On
that,
his
the
own free
program
time?
is. Yes.
I'll
he's not
say-
going to construct another Bolt Zag.
I think the Canadiens are missing something other than an offense. Zing. I don't even know how they are this year. Still felt good to say zing. Yeah, I'll go with Canadiens.
Okay, so yeah, do they have something? There might be something in the middle of that H. I'm going to say that the coloring on the feathers to the Blackhawk does not look right to me, and I don't recall green. I don't recall that color.
That's a good call. Yeah.
But let me go Chicago Blackhawks.
Scott, you're on it again, but not for the right reason.
Oh, my
I
gosh.
just simply flipped the.
Yes, you
Blackhawks.
did that.
Flipped
you
his
turned
head
it
around.
the other way.
Flipped it to where it faces the wrong way.
He's never looked to the right. That's this on this show. This is the first time he's looked to the right.
He's looking at himself now.
He's like, wow, look
look at him.
I didn't realize I had these feathers in my hair. Okay, wonderful. I love it.
Okay, this one is probably the toughest one, I think. Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah.
Jacksonville Jaguars, New England Patriots, Cincinnati Bengals, and your Minnesota Vikings. Which one of those is incorrect?
Oh man.
I'll tell you, I haven't, messed around with the colors, so it's not like a lighter shade of blue on the Patriots. It's nothing like that.
Okay. Whew.
Are any of these guys facing the wrong way? He just used that trick. He wouldn't use that trick again.
No.
The B should be backwards. No.
The Bengals logo looks different.
Should the Bengals stripes be
Inverted?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Or is he going to make us count Jaguar spots? I hope he does. I can't even. It's all a blur.
It's the Viking. Golly. I'm going to say, yeah, I think the Viking is the helmet. I think the helmet's purple, not yellow.
I think his
I
helmet
don't
is
know. I
purple
don't
and
know
not
about
yellow. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know. Let's see. Looking at the Patriot, is he facing the wrong way? His star appears to have the correct number of points, but are we cheating him of? Are we cheating
His
him of
jawline looks a
Are we
little different.
cheating him of a red stripe? Should he have one more, very short one there at the base of his scalp?
Yes. He's missing an eyebrow, too.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Patriots logo needs a little more red.
Wow. Y'all were dancing around. It is Cincinnati.
Oh, darn it.
We said that.
The third stripe, I inverted that third stripe. So
I thought that's the first thing we said, but I guess we didn't land on it as convincingly for you. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
You're right. No, we hedged. Okay.
So, but all in all, pretty good, guys. Or it was pretty weak on my part.
No, you did great. That was tough.
Look, that was tough on our part, and it's been a while since I've been in college, hence why I missed some of those. But I think I won that competition.
Got to start
At the end of the day, all that really matters is did I beat Chris?
That's right.
And I think I did.
I didn't know we were keeping score on that one.
We're always keeping score on everything. All right, hey, that was good stuff. All right, so we got some big college football games and NFL games coming up this week. I hope those picks helped you out. Much thanks to our guest, one Steve Phillips, and his insights on what has been thus far, and no doubt will continue to be a great postseason here in Major League Baseball. And thanks to Mariah, our jib operator. She's going to do a little move right now. You ready for it?
Let's get that jib move, Mariah.
All right. Thanks to the rest of our NODPOD crew. We got Chris on the ones and twos. For BK, Chris, I'm Scott. Until the next time we're on, there are no off days.
Don't hit that light, Mariah.
Oh, look out!
Watch out.